Hey everybody, it's Kenny K here again with my trusty cat Sam, a black cat for the month October. What was the name of that? Salem. That was the name of that cat of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, right? Salem. My little Salem. Touching his ass. It doesn't mind. No, the movie I wanted to talk to you about is a movie that I just saw recently. Is the Conjuring: The Last Rites 2025, directed by Michael Chavez, gets a 6.5, and it gets a surprisingly 5 from me. Backstory a little bit. Before I go any further, please like, subscribe, and comment. Everything is free, no worries, no biggies. Good friends. Now, a little, you know, um, exposition is my favorite one is the first one. The first one had most of Lorraine Ed and Lorraine Warren in it. The most they were the most involved in what was happening in that house. I believe it was a witch demon. I remember that scene when the the was it a boy or a girl talking and she sees that hanging body next to her. That was so creepy. And yeah, the movie was just in extremely creepy, extremely creepy. I like that they had this team. They had this a college student that followed him around. They had a Rhode Island Police Department guy. He was also in this movie. All these guys from the first movies were in this movie because you also had a Father Gordon, a priest, who was also in the first movie because they wanted an exorcism and he didn't want to. He wanted to give it to him, but he had to go to the bishop and to go to the top brass, and the top brass has to give him the go ahead, and but they did it anyway. The second one was also good, the Enfield haunting in England, because you also had a lot of Ed and Lorraine Warren. The reason why I liked it is because, first of all, I love Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as Ed and Lorraine Warren. I love their chemistry. Their I love Vera Farmiga. It's a beautiful woman. She can act so great. She's good in everything. You can put in her in everything. She's great. And Patrick Wilson, for some reason, he is born for this part. Um, Now in the second one, um, I like that whole investigation stuff. I like the investigation stuff. And then you had the old guy spirit, but it wasn't actually a bad spirit. It was the nun who was the first signs of the nun, who was creepy as fuck. I didn't see the spin-off. The spin-off is apparently jump scare after jump scare after jump scare. Don't need that shit. Um, and then then it, the first one got a 6.5 for me. The second one a 6, and then it got a 5. The devil made me do it because 40% of that movie is actually just the Warrens trying to get this guy out of jail because he was possessed, because they believe he was possessed by a devil. By the way, that movie is a remake from a movie from the 80s or 90s, I think from the 80s, with Kevin Bacon, him being the guy who's possessed by the devil and killed these people and said, the devil made me do it. So you didn't have a lot of Warren activity. And in this movie, it gets a 5 again because this movie. So what's cool is they have this barbecue, and you see all the characters from the first movie. You see Father Gordon. You see the college student that they had with him, an Asian guy. You see the Rhode Island detective who had to bite out of his chin. He had this because the witch bit an entire piece out of his skin. He was cooking the meat, and his daughter Judy is getting married. But the movie starts in 1964, and they come across a demon. And what I actually thought watching the trailer was that, oh, they're gonna face the last rites. They're gonna face the most powerful demon they ever faced, which wasn't true. Not exactly true. It was a powerful demon they ever faced, but in '64 they weren't doing it so long. They weren't doing it that long, so it was the first demon they ever faced that was so strong, and it's that demon. Um, it basically Lorraine was pregnant, and it made her deliver the baby too early. It had the umbilical cord around the neck. It wanted to the demon wanted to suffocate the baby, and the baby came true. And the movie is all about Judy. Judy's the daughter. Judy meets a guy, an ex-cop named Tony. They want to marry, this and that. But Judy sees Annabelle everywhere through the movie, and I'm thinking, Annabelle, but what has Annabelle to do with this movie? He sees her twice in the house, in the Warren house, and then once in the house where the demon is now at in Pennsylvania somewhere, because the Warrens didn't want to go to that case because Father Gordon knew about that case. So he went to the house. He went to bless the house, and he saw that his holy water turned into acid. He ran away, and he said that there's something evil in this house. There's I have to get help. So he goes to the bishop, and then you get this scary scene that he's in this hallway, and the secretary, and he says, Father Gordon, for the bishop, please. Okay, sit down. I'll be there with a minute. Then she disappears, and then he gets a phone call, and he answers, and there's this girl voice, and she says, "You can go now, Father Gordon." And then the demon attacks him, and eventually he takes a wire and commits suicide, hangs him from a very high ceiling. So this, of course, comes to a surprise to the Warrens. They go to the house. What they basically did, these people, the entire movie long, you see these people being haunted. Okay, you see these people, and it's creepy. But the Warrens, they show up after about 50. Let's say, okay, this movie is an hour and 30 minutes. They show up after 50 minutes of the movie, maybe even an hour after the movie. They're not long in that house. They're not really investigating because it's already acknowledged that there's a demon. Eventually, what they did. These people was through the press trying to get somebody there to help them, and now it's of course an entire circus in front of their house. And then the Warrens, and because the Warrens were also involved in the Amityville horror, something that they didn't film. But so Lorraine is doing so. Basically, Lorraine and Ed are one team, one package. Lorraine is a medium. She finds the spirits. She says if they're good or bad. which one, if there are multiple, which one is good, which one is bad. And Ed is the one, is sort of a priest. He exorcises the demon and puts it in a trinket. Like in the first movie, it puts it in this little uh, what is it called? This little Ferris wheel. Yeah. Now this movie, apparently Lorraine is going to the house, and I'm not sure what Ed is doing. He's talking with the people and asking what's happening and this and that, and questioning them. Meanwhile, Judy's there too, but Judy, she shouldn't be there because that's what the demon wanted. So what's going on is that Lorraine finds that there are four spirits here: three spirits, two good ones, one bad one, and one demon who's basically controlling the three spirits. The two good spirits are a grandma and a daughter who were killed by a homicidal maniac of a husband with an axe. And the demon itself is in this mirror that they also found in 1964. And the mirror just basically came back because they crushed it somewhere in I don't know what, and it just came back. And yeah, there you go. So the entire, you know, thing happens again. Lorraine has to fight. Ed is almost getting a heart attack because he has a problem with his heart, but he fights through it and they get past it. And Judy somehow also gives them power to defeat the demon, and eventually the demon gets defeated. And then we see the end, that Judy and Tony get married, that they get, we see that they have grandchildren, and we see Ed and Lorraine Warren getting old. And I'm guessing this is the last movie because then we see the true story of Ed Warren died at the age of 74, I think, on a heart attack. He first had a seizure, but then Lorraine home nursed him. She died at the age of 92. And apparently, a student of them, he went into the basement, got all the trinkets out, which I thought you shouldn't touch. it, it shouldn't even leave that basement, but he got them out of the basement and he touched them. Now, okay, the convenient thing is now the guy was a junk food eater and he had a little bit of problems with his heart, a fat guy eating a lot of hamburgers, and he touches the Annabelle doll the same night he gets a heart attack. Now, all the doctors said it was because of a heart, a coronary, a heart attack of 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 heart problems that he already had. A little bit convenient, no? Now, of course, the real Annabelle doll doesn't look like that creepy doll in the movie and all the spin-offs. She looks like a Raggedy Ann doll. And it's not really scary, but it is scary that the guy got a heart attack when he got it. What he now, if the Warrens were real or fake, there is a big story behind it, and all their trinkets in their cellars are actually very. Every trinket, they had more than 1,000 cases, and in every trinket there's a demon, a spirit, a bad spirit, uh, something evil in it, and everything has a story, and that's what I like. That's what I like. And even if it's fake, it's really well done. And for some reason, I love their eternal love that they have Ed and Lorraine Warren. But in the movie, the problem here is it seemed that Lorraine was doing, she was just looking for the ghost, and she was screaming more, and Ed was, I'm not sure what he was doing. He was trying to take the mirror out of there, but it didn't work. And then he was trying to, take the book and exercise it, but it it it, it flew in flames, and I don't know. It wasn't. It was super hectic, and there wasn't an investigation that I liked. The investigation and what's happening, and something that always kind of bugged me was that always at the end of the movies they let you hear the tape recorder and the microphone when they were talking, the real Ed and Lorraine Warren talking to the people who were, the victims. But okay, this so they were busy in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Didn't they had at some point a camera? Okay, a camera doesn't. I know there are pictures of flying objects, but that's still not enough for a lot of people. Even a camera wouldn't be enough for a lot of people, but it would be the best choice to convince people that these things are real. But like I said, in this movie, it didn't fit. Somehow, Ed and Lorraine didn't sing together. It didn't. They weren't a team. They weren't. You know what I mean? Because Judy was there, and Ed was protecting Judy, and if he couldn't do it, Lorraine was protecting Judy, and at some point, the Annabelle doll is there. I don't know why. So, yeah, if that was the last movie of The Conjuring, I had something completely different in mind. A complete investigation into a demon, one of the most powerful ones they ever encountered, but it's not that. It's so yeah, it's somehow a disappointment. Yeah, I wanted to see the connection between the two Warrens, getting people involved like Father Gordon, maybe the Rhode Island police officer for security, some students, that to investigate this because this demon was so powerful. Maybe killing Gordon, Father Gordon, in the process. Maybe killing the Asian kid. I mean, you know what I mean. In any case, it ended. It ended on a sweet note. Her daughter um, stopped seeing weird things because she saw weird things constantly. She saw constantly the Annabelle doll rocking on a chair, and she stopped seeing them because her mother told her how not to do it, and she got kids, and they lived happily ever after. So it has a nice ending, but still, I wanted to see more of the two Wardens, the last battle. You know what I mean? That being said, it's a 5 out of 10, but it's certainly a must watch. Yeah, I saw all of four of them, so I really recommend them. There you go. Have a nice October.